Chapter 1. The Second Beginning. The last thing Aaron remembered was heat. A strange, crackling heat. Rain hammered against the windows of his small rented room. The power had gone out minutes ago, and in the darkness he had stumbled toward the old metal study table. When electricity surged, suddenly, the exposed wire under the table sparked. He touched the metal edge. White light exploded in his vision. Pain swallowed him whole. Then, when he opened his eyes again, the ceiling was wooden, not just wooden old. Cracked, stained by time, his body felt lighter, smaller. A weak voice trembled nearby. Rudra. He turned his head slowly. An old woman with silver hair tied in a loose bun stared at him with tearful eyes. Beside her stood a thin old man holding a steel cup of water. Rudra Aaron tried to sit up, but his arms were short, too short. He lifted his hand, was a child's hand. Panic flooded him. Memories that were not his crashed into his mind like waves. Rudra Verma. Tenda orphan, living with grandparents in a poor village house. And then, the novel. He remembered reading it 2 years ago. A campus novel. The main villain, Rudra Verma. Obsessive, jealous, cruel. He would grow up, fall in love with the heroine, harass her, fight the hero, ruin his own life, and die alone in prison. Aaron's breathing turned uneven. Irons migrated. The old woman touched his forehead gently. You fainted while carrying water, child. Scare us like that. Her hand was rough but warm. Aaron stared at her. In the novel, Rudra ignored his grandparents. He was ashamed of their poverty. He left them behind once he got into university, and they died quietly before graduation. A lump formed in his throat. He had already died once. He wouldn't waste this life. He slowly whispered, I'm okay, Grandma. The old woman froze in surprise. Rudra never called her gently. The old man's faintly in relief. Outside, rain fell softly. Inside, a new story began. Chapter 2, changing the script. The house was small. One bedroom, a tiny kitchen, walls patched with newspaper to block winter wind. That night, Rudra lay on a thin mattress and stared at the ceiling. He reviewed the novel's timeline carefully. At age 18, Rudra would enter a top university through scholarship. There, he would meet Arav Kapoor, the male lead, Meera Sharma, the female lead. Rudra would fall for Meera at first sight. Arav and Meera would slowly fall in love. Rudra became jealous. Everything would spiral from there. Rudra, his eyes. No. He clenched his small fist. I won't go near them. If he stayed away, the plot couldn't drag him in. But survival first. He looked at his sleeping grandparents through the half-open door. They coughed their sleep. Poverty wasn't romantic. It was cruel. He made a silent vow. I will study. I will earn. From the next day, everything changed. Rudra woke up before sunrise. He helped his grandfather in the fields. He studied borrowed textbooks at night. He practiced mathematics, coding basics from a second-hand computer at a cyber cafe in town. The cafe owner noticed, who never wasted a minute. You're different, the man once said. Rudra smiled. He wasn't. He had just once already, and death removed laziness. Years, like turning pages. He grew taller. Scholarships came. Competitions. Small freelance coding projects secretly completed online under fake usernames. Money slowly gathered in a hidden savings account. His grandparents never knew how their grandson could suddenly afford medicine. Rudra never told them. He didn't need praise. He needed stability. By 18, he stood at the bus station with a single suitcase. He had received admission to the country's top university, the same university where fate waited. His grandmother, her eyes, don't forget us. Rudra knelt and held her wrinkled hands. I won't, because in this life, it's something protecting. Chapter 3, University of Fate. The university campus was massive. Modern buildings, students from wealthy families, luxury cars parked near dormitories. Rudra walked calmly, carrying his old suitcase. He felt eyes on him. His clothes were simple, his shoes worn, the back remained straight. He checked his dorm room number, room 312. He pushed the door open. Inside, 3 other boys, one of them, round, tall, confident, sharp eyes. Rudra skipped. Arav Kapoor, the hero. For a second, time froze. In the novel, their first meeting was tense. Rudra had immediately felt inferior and resentful. But now, Rudra nodded. Hi, I'm Rudra. Arav observed him quietly, then smiled lightly. Arav, no hostility, no thunder, just 2 strangers meeting. Rudra, a small relief. Maybe avoiding the plot would be easy. Until he saw her. Later that day, In the orientation hall, Meera Sharma walked onto the stage to collect an academic award. Long black hair, calm expression, eyes like quiet water. She wasn't overly flashy, but she carried herself with quiet strength. Rudra looked away immediately. He felt something strange. Not obsession, not desire, recognition. She's not just a character anymore, he thought. She's a real person. He tightened his grip on his notebook. Stay away. That was the rule, and for months, he succeeded. He focused on studies, internships, building a startup idea with coding classmates. He avoided unnecessary gatherings, avoided Meera, avoided drama. Life felt peaceful, almost too peaceful, until the University Festival Night taught Chapter 4, The Mistake. Music thundered across campus. Lights flashed. Students laughed freely. Rudra rarely attended such events, but his classmates dragged him along. Live a little, they said. He didn't much, but that night, he did. Maybe felt safe. Maybe because he thought the plot had truly changed. Across the lawn, he noticed Meera sitting alone near the fountain. Her expression troubled. Arav stood a distance away, arguing with someone over the phone. Rudra hesitated. Not my business. But then Meera stood up unsteadily. She almost fell. Without thinking, Rudra moved forward and caught her arm. She looked at him, eyes glassy. You're right? Yes. She gave a faint smile. You always look like you're carrying the world alone. He didn't know how to respond. She laughed softly. It's tiring, pretending to be strong all the time. They talked about pressure, expectations, loneliness, about being scholarship students among elites. Rudra didn't realize how much he had drunk. He didn't realize when he escorted her back to the guest dorm. He didn't realize when she held his shirt and whispered, "Don't leave yet." Emotions with alcohol. Warmth replaced logic. The world narrowed to closeness. Darkness. Morning sunlight pierced his eyes. He woke slowly. The first thing he felt was softness beside him. The second thing he felt was cold dread. Meera was lying next to him, silent, awake, spoke. The weight of reality crushed him. This wasn't in the novel. This wasn't supposed to happen. I'm sorry, he whispered immediately. Meera looked calmly. I'm not. His mind went blank. Single sentence changed everything, and fate, once again, began to move. Chapter 5, Responsibility. Weeks later, Meera called him to a quiet cafe. Her hands trembled slightly as she placed a medical report on the table. Rudra, read it. Twice. The world felt distant. You're sure? As softly. She nodded. Silence stretched between them. In the original novel, Rudra destroyed lives because of obsession. In this life, he created a life. Rumors spread quickly after someone saw them leaving the clinic. Arav confronted him one evening. You think this is funny? Arav's voice was controlled, but his eyes burned. Rudra met his gaze calmly. It's not. Did you plan this? No. A long pause. Arav looked toward the sky and exhaled sharply. I know, he replied, but she chose her decision. Arav, carefully. This wasn't the jealous villain he expected. It confused him. Meera refused to hide. She refused to abort. I won't run from consequences, she said. Rudra felt something settle inside him. Fear, responsibility, determination. He took her hands. I'll marry you. Her eyes, slightly. Because of the baby? He shook his head. Because I don't regret night either. For the first time, she smiled without hesitation. Chapter 6, Building a Life. Marriage at 22 was not easy. Financial strain, judgment, family backlash. But Rudra had been preparing his entire life. His startup idea, an AI-based rural supply chain platform, finally attracted investors. He worked at night, coding, pitching, failing, trying again. Meera continued hers while pregnant. They fought. They cried. They supported each other. When their child was born, a baby girl with calm eyes like Meera's, Rudra held her gently. Tears blurred his vision. I was supposed to be a villain, he whispered. Instead, he was a father. Years passed. Grew. His grandparents moved into a better house in the city. They watched their great-granddaughter play in the garden. One evening, Rudra stood on his apartment balcony watching the sunset. Meera, beside him. Do you ever feel life could have gone differently? She asked. He smiled softly. Yes. And I'm glad it didn't. He had died once. He had been written a villain. But stories weren't cages. Abilities. And in this life, he chose differently. The wind moved gently around them, not as fate, not as destiny, but Freedom. Chapter 7. The Fall. Marriage didn't silence the world. It did. Headlines spread across campus forums. Scholarship student traps, elite hair's girlfriend, gold, marriage. Anonymous posts exposed Rudra's poor background. Edited photos, fake chat leaks. Mira was called shameless. Rudra knew only one person had the power to make rumors move that fast. Arav Kapoor. But when he confronted him, Arav only said one sentence. I didn't start this. That meant else did. And whoever it was, they were targeting him precisely. That night, Rudra received a call from the home. His grandmother had collapsed. Stress, shame, neighbors whispering. Rudra arrived his grandfather already in IQ, his grandma sitting waiting for him. His grandmother sat silently, hollow-eyed. Rudra beside her. In the original novel, he became a villain because of rejection. In this life, he became one because of injustice. He whispered to the room, I tried to live peacefully. No more. Chapter 8. The Real Enemy. Rudra investigated quiet, tracing online IP logs, tracking funding patterns behind rumor pages, following investment sabotage attempts against his startup. The name he uncovered shocked him. Vikram Kapoor, Arav's uncle, chairman of Kapoor Industries. In the novel, Vikram was barely mentioned. Background, manipulator. But in reality, he hated weakness. He saw Mira as a strategic marriage alliance for Arav. He saw Ru's dirt, and dirt must be crushed. Rudra realized something terrifying. The novel, shallow. It simply never showed the true villain. And he was Chapter 9. Breaking the Hero. Rudra requested a private meeting with Arav in an empty basketball court at night. You trust your uncle? Rudra asked calmly. Arav frowned. What game are you playing? Rudra, him a file, bank transfers, anonymous, trails, online funding, private reports. Arav's expression changed slowly. Why show me this? Because you're being used? Rudra replied, Mira was never your love story. She was a silence, the wind between them. In the original story, they were enemies. Now they stood on the same side of a battlefield neither had chosen. Arav's voice was low. If this is true, I'll destroy you. Rudra's eyes darkened. He already did. Chapter 10. Blood. Rudra stopped playing defensively, he attacked. He used his AI platform to uncover illegal land acquisitions linked to Kapoor Industries, exposed rural exploitation deals. Anonymous, a leak sent to journalists. Stock prices trembled. Vikram noticed. A meeting was arranged. In a glass tower office overlooking the city, Vikram Kapoor studied Rudra like an insect. You're brave, said coldly. Or stupid. Rudra met his gaze evenly. You mistake for weakness. Vikram smiled thinly. You think you can challenge a legacy empire? Rudra leaned forward slightly. I don't need to win today. I just need to make you bleed. Days later, a government inquiry launched into one of Vikram's subsidiaries. It wasn't fatal, but it was a warning that the war had begun. Chapter 11. The Price of Revenge. Victory. Bitter. Rudra returned home late. Mira quietly in the living room, their daughter asleep beside her. You're changing, she said softly. He paused. In what way? You look colder. He didn't deny it. I won't let anyone hurt us again. She stood and walked closer. I married you because you weren't the villain. Her words struck deeper than any threat. For the first times, the hospital. His anger cracked, wasn't fighting for ego. He was fighting fear, not fear of losing everything again. He pulled her into his arms. I'll finish this, he whispered, but I won't lose myself. Chapter 12. The Trap. Vikram made his move, but Rudra was accused of data theft. A lawsuit filed, investors panicked. Accounts frozen temporarily. Media storms returned. This time harsher. This time personal police arrived at his office. Handcuffs clicked around his wrists. Cameras flashed. As he was pushed into the police car, he saw Vikram watching from across the street, smiling. For a brief second, Rudra remembered the original novel ending. Villain in prison, life destroyed. History repeating, inside the holding cell. Arav, you predicted this, didn't you? Arav asked. Rudra's lips curved faintly. Yes. From his pocket, Arav took out a USB drive. Your evidence? Rudra nodded. If he accuses me publicly, we release everything. Midnight, major news networks received explosive files, offshore accounts, bribery logs, political funding trails. By morning, the empire shook, but Vikram Kapoor was arrested under economic crime investigation. Rudra was released, but victory came at a cost. Kapoor Industries collapsed temporarily. Thousands of employees were affected. Arav stood before reporters and made a decision. He took responsibility as acting CEO. Rudra watched from a distance. The hero had finally chosen his own path. Chapter 13, The Choice. Months later, stability returned. Rudra's company expanded internationally. Mira, her career. Their daughter laughed freely in a world no longer threatening. One evening, Rudra received a final message from prison. You were meant to be a villain. You simply found a better excuse. Rudra stared at the message for a long time. Was he still a villain? He had a man, ruined an empire, manipulated the media, used fear strategically, closed phone, walked into the bedroom. Mira was reading beside their sleeping child. He sat next to them quietly. Peace, warmth, life. He realized something. A villain, destruction. He had protection, difference, tension. He kissed his daughter's forehead, and for the first time, he felt anger left. Only strength. Line. He was reborn, a villain. But when the world tried to make him one, he became something far more dangerous. A man who his own ending. Side story, Mira's perspective. The man who was supposed to be a villain. I first noticed Rudra Verma because he never looked at me. At university, that was unusual. Most people either admired me, envied me, or judged me. I had learned to recognize those looks easily, but Rudra, different. He treated me like I was normal, almost invisible. The first time I truly paid attention to him was in the library. It was late evening. Most students had left. He sat near the window with an old laptop and a stack of books that looked far too advanced for first-year students. His expression was serious, focused, like someone carrying responsibilities heavier than exams. He didn't check his phone. He didn't gossip. He didn't waste time. I watched him longer than I should have. There was something lonely about him. People liked Kapoor, confident, charismatic, and born into a world of certainty. Everything seemed easy, but Rudra like the opposite of easy. He felt like someone who had fought every step to stand where he stood. Maybe that was why I started noticing small things. How he always class quickly. How he skipped expensive social events. I only knew as I happened to see it. That was the moment I understood something important. Rudra, kind. The festival night changed everything. I had argued with Arav earlier. Naz was cruel, but because he understood pressure. For him was options. For me was expectation, scholarships, family sacrifices, constant. So I drank more than I should have. And when the world began spinning, the person who caught wasn't Arav. It was Rudra. I remember leaning against him near the fountain, hands steady, his calm. No one had that in a long time. That night, strange, like two lonely people accidentally meeting in the same quiet space. And when morning came, everything changed. When I discovered I was pregnant, I wasn't scared. What scared me was Rudra's reaction. He looked like the sky had fallen, not of shame, because responsibility. That was when I realized something. He wasn't running away. He was calculating to carry the weight. When he proposed, I asked him one question. Is this hunk of the baby? His answer still lives in my memory, because I don't regret night either. That was enough. The world turned ugly after that. Rumors, insults, online rent. People said I trapped him. He used me, but none of them what I saw. They didn't see him coming home exhausted after working 18 hours. They didn't see him studying business strategies at midnight while rocking our daughter to sleep. They didn't see him secretly sending money to his grandmother every month. They only saw, but I saw a man who refused to collapse. When Rudra's grandfather hospitalized, something inside him changed. The anger eyes scared me, not because it would hurt someone, because he would hurt himself. Revenge is heavy, and Rudra carried mentally. During those months, he spoke less, slept, but he never stopped protecting us. When Vikram Kapoor was finally arrested, everyone called Rudra brilliant, strategic, dangerous. But that night when he came home, he looked tired, not victorious, just relieved, like someone who had finally put down a weapon. Sometimes I wonder about fate, about stories, about the strange feeling that Rudra had already lived another life before this one. There are moments when he looks at the world like someone who has already lost everything once. Maybe that's why he protects everything so fiercely now. One evening I asked him some simple, do you think Mimit? He thought for a long time before answering, believe in destiny, but I believe in choices. Then he smiled slightly. Choosing you was people once a villain, maybe they still, but every night when our daughter runs into his arms, laughing without fear, the truth, the man feared was simply the one who saved mine.